guys are a group of rock stars. I know you guys are killing it. Rob and Ryan speak really highly of all of you. And I just want to start the call off with that. Like all of you guys right now, I'm guessing most of you have been in the industry a long time. Hands up if you've been doing this for more than 10 years. Yeah. Okay, great. So you guys have already made it through COVID. You guys have already made it through 2008. How many of you guys survived 08 and the economic pullback there? How many of you guys made it through the .com or that bubble? Maybe Rob might be a little young for that point. Rob's got a beard, but I bet you if we shaved that beard off, we'd see how old Rob really is.
Yeah. The .com, I started in 03. So .com was 2 years before that.
Okay, cool. So guys, I wanted to say that already, that this call is not about me helping you. You guys technically don't need help. But Grant Cardone said something to me that I'm going to impart on you is the best time to ask for help is not always when you need it. It's before you need it. It's getting it. It's always looking for an edge. It's being an athlete in the marketplace. And Michael Jordan, for example, hired a guy I know, his name's Tim Grover, to help him level up his game when he was already a champion. The same thing goes for your business. So today, what I wanted to talk to you guys about was leadership. Again, Rob, you and I should go back and forth a little bit and just see, if this is the topic you wanted to cover. I've grown a lot of sales companies. I wanted to talk about the keys of success that I saw in our leaders and how I saw them implement a program like this and what worked and what didn't. And I could tell you about the mistakes I've made, and I could tell you guys about the mistakes I've seen my people make if you want to do that. But the last sales business I built before this one, we grew from 0 to 3.4 million in 1 year. And by our third year, we were at 18.9 million. That's in commissions. Total revenue sold, we sold over $100 million a year for TELUS. We became TELUS's highest performing sales business. And that's saying something because in the telecom world, everybody hates telecom companies. So we actually did that while improving their customer service scores and decreasing their customer complaints. But Rob, if that's not what you want me to chat on, if you don't want me to talk on leadership, you can let me know. But that was the direction I was going to go.
Yeah, no, it sounds awesome.
Okay, great. Then we're going to get this kicked off here. I'm just going to share my second screen. Give me one moment. If you guys have notepads, I definitely recommend it, just because what I am going to give you guys today is definitely going to be duplicatable, and you'll want to definitely take some stuff down. All right, so I wanted to go through a few lists that we have here. So I'm going to actually take you through an unedited internal document that we put all of our people through. Okay, so if you guys are cool with that, by the way, is everybody cool here for just candid, non-sugar-coated, okay, politically almost correct, but not quite? Everybody cool with that?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just tell it to you guys straight. Okay, good. So first thing, so I started my career, guys, just to tell you a little bit about me. I started my career in door-to-door. I dropped out of college when I was 19 years old. And from 19 until 21, I actually got lost. I said I was going to go study success and go after my career, but then I got completely lost. And I'm going to tie all this together, why this is important. But as a 19-year-old, I'll let you guys know what I was looking for is I was looking for leadership. So I was looking for guys like you. I was looking for guys like Rob, like Cliff, like Neil, like Bill, like Doug. I was looking for people to give me some direction. That's really what I was looking for. I dropped out of college when I was 19 because my professors and teachers had never been through a recession. My professors and teachers had never been through an 08, had never been through a dot-com crash, had never been through, an economic pullback. But somehow I'm paying them thousands of dollars every single semester or quarter to teach me stuff that they've never done. And I just wanted to let you know that a huge element of your business's success is going to come down to your ability to lead these guys, right? What's the age group and demographic, Rob, of your sales staff?
All ages. So
all
we
ages.
have straight out of university, right up to early 60s, a couple of guys.
Okay. So you have everything from attention span of a goldfish all the way up to I've been in this business for 20 years, son.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
both.
Exactly.
Yeah. Those are the spectrums. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the first rule for your sales guys. Okay. The first rule that your guys need to get down, that you guys need to be imparting on them, that will be the key to your business's success and management, is this rule right here. It's who do you listen to? Your salespeople right now, left to their own devices, will listen to the wrong people. They'll get advice from their buddies on what to do in their career. They'll hang out with the wrong guys on the weekend and pick up the wrong habits. Okay. A lot of our sales guys, especially the millennials, they got this one really messed up. And when it comes down to leadership, you want to write this down. The first thing you need to do as a leader is this: be listened to. Okay. It's one thing to know the data, but if no one listens to you, right? They say a prophet in his own land has no merit. You guys have heard that expression before. All right. Your sales guys, you're giving them the data. You're literally showing them how to make more money, how to have less stress in their financials, how to actually produce more. And you got to convince them constantly. How many of you guys have to repeat yourself with your sales guys? How many of you find yourself saying the same thing 3, 4, 5, 10 times to the guys? Hands up. Okay. How many of those guys will complain about whether it's they'll complain about the customer, they'll complain about the marketplace, they'll have a recurring problem that you've been basically teaching them on how to solve, and they just keep repeating the same cycle, right? So it's one thing, write this down. It's one thing to have the knowledge. It's another thing to sell the knowledge to your people. You guys are the salespeople. You guys sell the reps, and the reps sell the customers. Period. Your salespeople will either, write this down, will either sell in two directions. They'll either sell the marketplace, or they'll try selling you why they didn't do it. They'll sell you on the inventory problem. They'll sell you on, the customer's got to wait. They'll sell you on the customer's objections. They'll sell you that it just wasn't the right time. They'll sell you that they got a better deal somewhere else. The sales rep is either going to sell the customer, or they're going to sell you all the reasons why they didn't do it. So only two things that's going to happen. And management is either going to sell the owner or executive, or they're either going to sell their reps on doing the right thing, or they're going to sell their executive on why their reps are no good. That's generally what happens. Okay. So the big thing that we got to look at here is this: who are your salespeople listening to? This is the first thing you guys got to understand. You guys have competition. No one wants to talk about this. I don't ever hear anyone talk about this one. You guys have competition. Right now, you have to sell ideas to your salespeople. That's what you're doing as a leader. You're selling them an idea. You're selling them a way of life. You're selling them a way of solving their problems. You're selling them on taking their career a little more seriously. But on the other end, you've got Instagram, Facebook, the news, and their friends, and maybe even their mommy and daddy if they're a millennial and they haven't decided to let go. It's the basement dwelling generation. Posting motivational quotes on Instagram by day and living in mommy's basement at night. Those are the millennials for you. Telling you how much they know about life. They've read the book of life and it's an inch thick. They got halfway through it, couldn't even finish it. That's our generation. And they're experts and they want it all now. They've been conditioned. I need it now. I need it now. I want to make 20 grand a month, but I don't want to make cold calls for 2 years straight to get there. How many of you guys know what I'm talking about? I see some smiles. You guys feel what I'm talking about, right? Okay. Here's the stinging part. That's now your fault. That's now your problem. When you hired them, you hired good, bad, and ugly. You hired the short attention span. You hired the I want it now mentality. And salespeople are like this in general, regardless of age. So now your job, write this down, is to become more influential than their outside influences. As a leader, as an owner, as a manager, your job is to become more influential than the outside influences. Now, that sounds hard, but I promise you there's an easy science to it. I'll show you how to do it. Okay. We could even run a training. I could get my team to run a training for your people on this one. Okay. So number one, make sure that you're getting advice from people who have what you want and have been where you are. This is how you need to live. You guys need to be getting leadership advice from leaders, not from each other. You don't let your average salespeople train your other salespeople. You have your best salespeople, your management team train your salespeople. It's the same thing for you guys. If you guys want to be the best leaders, you guys got to study the best leaders. They existed in history. I actually got some quotes from them in this presentation. Okay. The other aspect is your guys need to want to listen to you. By the way, if they listen to their friends and family instead of you, this is what they're listening to. They're listening to 76% of people who are paycheck to paycheck. They're listening to 84% of the population who have less than $1,000 net worth. They're listening to the girl who does yoga on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and gives life advice during her yoga sessions. She rents a bicycle, can't even afford the bicycle. Okay. Telling your salespeople to not work so hard. It's terrible. Okay. So how do we become an advisor to our people? That's really what we're going to talk about today. How do we get our people to hang on our every word? Okay. That's what we do here. Our success has been built on building this wheel around our people where we control the environment. And I can run a few of these meetings. We can have my staff take you through this meeting, take you through this whole training. But I'm going to pull apart the main points of it. Okay. These are our main points. Okay. So you want to write these down. I'll expand on them in a minute. Number one, leadership and management lead from the front, period. Your salespeople will always respect you. It doesn't mean you always have to be the best. It just means you always have to be willing. You're always willing to call a customer. You're always willing to step in and help save a deal. You're always willing to help handle an objection. You're always willing to help the guy follow up. You're willing to make the cold call or the warm call or the referral call. You don't even always have to get the result. As long as they see you attempt it, they will do it. And write this down. They will only mimic 30% of your good behavior, but they will mimic 100% of your bad behavior. It's just something I learned. When I was 20 years old, I had 60 employees. 60. And they would mimic 100% of our bad behavior as a leader, and they would only mimic 30% of the good behavior. Every time we stepped out of line, they use that as an excuse to do the same thing. So if they always saw us willing to get embarrassed, willing to take rejection, willing to get, hung up on, willing for the customer to say no to us, but they saw that we were willing to go through it, it increased their chances of doing it significantly. So that's number one, what I mean by lead from the front. Number two, always be selling. You guys are selling your reps. They are either selling you or you are selling them. You're training them. You're putting them through Cardone U. Have you seen enough movies like Star Wars and, the Bourne series where they train up the agent and all of a sudden the agent is more powerful than they are? So if you train this guy on how to sell, and then he could turn that sales ability around on you. And what happens when a management team starts falling into a slump is they got sold by their salespeople on all the reasons why their salespeople couldn't do the job. The salespeople start selling the managers on the excuses, on the objections, on the challenges. And it's our job to sell them on the target, the goal. Okay. Ultimately, we're selling them on the vision. We're selling them on where we're going as a team. We're selling them on their own goals. Okay. I have a whole slide on this that we'll get into, but remember, selling is fact finding. Write that down, right? When you guys are doing the fact find, have you done a fact find with your people? Write that question down. Have I done a fact find with my own staff? Do I know the goals and values of my own staff? Do I know what they find important? Do I know what their targets are? Remember, that's what selling is. Put the buyer at ease. Bring your staff, bring your sales guy, have a one-on-one with them, take them out for a coffee. Hey, John, listen, I just wanted to skip the whole, I'm your boss, you're a staff member. I want to skip that whole thing. I just want to have a conversation with you. Where are you looking to get to? You know, I know you're not going to work with us forever. I know you're probably going to work here, 2, 3, 4 years. If it's a millennial, they're already thinking it. So you bring it up. What goal can I help you get closer to while you're working here? What's the income target? What's the discipline target? By the way, write this down. Millennials are very purpose driven. They're very much working for you for their own reasons. So use that to your advantage. Ask them, what are they trying to develop? Hey, what skills are you trying to develop? What disciplines are you trying to develop? What aspect of yourself are you trying to improve? You get this data from them, and then it teaches you, it shows you how do you sell them moving forward. That's what I do. When I meet all my guys, first thing I do is find out what their goals are, and then I can use that to hold them accountable. I get their permission to hold them accountable. I find out what their vision is. So this, if you write this down here, your reps need to know where they're going. They need to know what's the vision for the store. Like Arcan Trailer and RV, like what's the stats? Like, hey, our goal is to be the #1 RV dealer in Edmonton. Well, what's that specific stat? Give them a mission. Give them a game to play. Okay, that's part of sell or be sold. The next one's this, never negative. That one's basic. I'm going to explain that a little bit more on the next one. Okay. This is an internal document, so I apologize that it says have your shit together on the slide, but I mean, that's just how we talk in my company, so I apologize. Okay. Cliff's very offended. He's going to file an HR report later. All right.
I like that word.
Yeah, cool. And I'm just messing with you. All right. So this is a big one. We're going to talk about this in detail. I'm actually going to go to the slide on it right now. Write this piece down. You're on stage. Or you can write, I'm on stage. You are always on stage. On stage mentality. Your salespeople, remember, they're looking, they're probing, they're looking for weaknesses. They're looking for permission to do the stuff that, we all have our own vices. Great. Leave your vices, your baggage, whatever you got going on, leave it at home, leave it in the car. But remember, you are always on stage. Okay. So basic things on that. You can write these down. 1, no baggage on the job. Your salespeople from here on forward. I know, again, apologies for the political incorrectness of this, but it's very important. Okay. Rob, are we good for me to roll on this topic?
Yeah.
You cool with it?
100%.
Okay. Guys, your sales guys, I know it sounds weird. Do not share anything with them that isn't positive about your personal life. You think this is common sense, but just bite your tongue. You'll go to share something and just think, is this going to help my sales guy? Your goal is to remove every excuse, every piece of negativity from the work environment so that the only negativity they experience is from the customer. Trust me, they're going to get the negativity from the customer. They're going to get the excuses from the customer. They're going to get the story of what happened from the customer. They don't need any more from us. Our whole plan is to build our salespeople up so that they can fully handle the customer and that they have their batteries fully charged to handle the interaction with the client. So we can't give them anything to be distracted by. So we have a rule here. It's negative up, positive down. You bring negativity up to Rob. You bring negativity up to your next senior. If you got a personal issue going on, your wife's not doing well, you got familial problems. Your wife spent all your money and now you can't buy a muscle car. I understand your issues. Okay. Whatever it is, you bring it up. You do not bring it down. Okay. You got a phone call from your wife. She's giving you a hard time. Okay. Or maybe Bill's getting the call from his husband, whatever. It's all good. No judgments. He's not here, so I'm going to take shots at it. Okay. Very, very simple. Do not take negative calls in front of your people. Your people need to think, and it's going to sound strange, that you're the most positive guy around. You don't need to be, by the way. It's the stage. Okay, remember, they're going to mimic 30% of your good behavior, 100% of your bad. Next one, high-level dress code. Dress above your income level. We have a basic rule here. Basic rule. Now, you guys obviously aren't going to, you're probably not going to dress quite like this, But all I can tell you is, fitted, good fitted, clean outfit, well put together. Okay. Impeccable hygiene, impeccable environment, clean car. We put everything here together. I run door-to-door teams and we hire 18 to 34. That's the majority age group that we hire. All of our managers, we literally audit their car once a week. Obviously, the car is part of what we do, right? They have to pick up their people. Is the car clean? Are the tires armor-all? Okay. We look at our sales guys. Are his shoes clean and tight? Do his clothes fit nice? Does he have a fresh haircut? This is basic stuff. You guys want these millennials to respect you. You want the salespeople that are always selling in one direction. Have an impenetrable force around you. Have the easy. I'll be real. I call it the easy approach, but it's basically this. People judge a book by its cover. The easiest thing to do is to put on a good cover. Okay, explaining this negativity up and positivity down. Okay. We talked about that, but this one is important. No arguments in front of staff. Ever. Write this down. The kids never see mom and dad fight. Super key for your business. Your salespeople should want to be a part of camaraderie and the respect that you guys have for each other. They should never, ever hear any of you say anything negative about each other. You guys have to be bonded. Even if you have personal crap going on between you, in front of your salespeople, it's nothing but respect. It's nothing but bigging each other up. It's nothing but selling each other's accomplishments. And to give you a really, really cool approach, always sell the accomplishments of the next manager beside you. Never sell your own when it comes to your salespeople. So check this out. Okay. Doug, okay, he talks about Cliff's successes. Okay. Cliff talks about, he talks about Rob's successes. Rob's always talking about David's successes, and Neil is always talking about Bill's successes. Bill is also talking about Cliff's successes. Cliff's also talking about Dave's successes, so on and so forth. And what ends up happening is your salespeople just start hanging on your every word because they heard from Cliff that, oh, wow, did you hear that story about Rob closing that one customer that one time? Oh, man, the guy came in. He said, no, I'm not doing it. I got to talk to my wife, like whatever it is. You start becoming folklore. You start becoming legendary. You start selling the accomplishments of Rob. Rob starts selling the accomplishments of Doug. All of a sudden now, Rob is way up here as far as his impression's concerned. Everyone's got a really positive impression about Rob. And then he says something good about Cliff. Well, now Cliff comes way up. And then Cliff is way up here. He's trusted way more. Well, he uses that trust to say something good about Brock. And then Brock now has clout. And it just keeps going and going and going. And we played a game with it. We used to run door-to-door teams, 60 people. They thought our whole management team, there were 6 managers, 10 reps per manager. They thought we were legendary because what we were, running our day, doing our operation, we always made a point of bringing up some positive point about another manager. Okay. It's a show. Okay. It is a show. Next one, be the best student. When you guys are doing Cardone with your guys, when you're running a meeting, be the manager who's got the notepad. Okay. Be the manager that's seen, having the humility to study and actually learn. Again, you need to do all the things, be on stage for all the things you want your people to be doing. Okay. So that's the, sorry, this is, that's a door-to-door thing. You guys could apply that too, but more so we treat sales like a sport here. So it's pretty simple. Okay. Next one's this. All right. Like your people more than you want to be liked. I have a whole deck on this piece as well. We'll go into it a little bit. Okay. Another way of wording this is care more about your people's success than you do about their feelings. So if they know that you care about their goals, that's why you start the conversations always. Hey, what are your goals? Where are you looking to get to? What skills do you want to develop? Trust me, your staff, they want to be held accountable. No one wants a personal trainer that doesn't push them. Any of you guys ever hire a personal trainer before? Yeah, right. You hire the trainer. Why? Because you need some accountability. I've got a trainer right now. I hate every time he comes over. Like I hate it. I try and get out every time. And then I tell him like, yo, man, I don't want to do lunges because I hate lunges. They're my worst workouts. So guess what he has us do? Lunges. I'm like, I don't like doing lunges. He's like, that's exactly why we're going to do lunges. We're going to do lunges until you love doing lunges. Left to your own devices, you won't get as good a shape without the personal trainer. The same thing goes for your salespeople. Left to their own devices, they'll make less money. Left unsupervised, they'll make less money. Okay, so don't worry so much about being liked all the time. Worry about your people's success. Sometimes that means you're going to have to hold them accountable. Now, reasons why your people won't train and won't study and get better at their job. Real quick, there's only 6. 1, no vision. If you're not constantly revisiting goals with your people, targets, and not just the targets for the store, I mean their goals. Okay, take them out for a coffee. Bring it up in casual conversation. Find out what their goals are. Get them pointed on a goal. These are the top reasons why I've seen businesses not train their people. I've trained somewhere around 6,000 salespeople myself personally. Employed about 3,000 salespeople over the years because door to door, you have a new staff every 5 to 6 months on average. Okay. Number 1's no vision. Number 2, there's no inspiration. If they don't respect you guys as leaders, they're not going to train on the program. Okay. Number 3 is no games. We'll talk about this one. We'll build you guys some really cool templates for games. We'll send some stuff over. But you guys have seen Ryan's, have you guys seen his UFC belt that we have here? Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, it's just showing it.
Hey, Ryan, pass me your belt. So we got all sorts of games here. Pass me that Nerf gun too. Okay. So this is the ultimate sales champ. So the guys fight it out for this every single month. Okay. The more games you can create for your people, the more engaged in training they will be themselves. Like we'll give away stuff like, look at this thing. There's Ryan. Okay. We put up prizes, little things. The guys will kill. That belt cost me $200. And every month, you know how hard Ryan fights to not have someone steal that from him? Okay. It's either you create a game for your people or they'll create games on their own. And if you ever hired a gossipy secretary, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You hired some customer service person who was probably overqualified for their job and they create havoc, gossip, rumors, drama. You guys have seen that come and go in the industry, have you not? In your space at one point? That's someone who doesn't have a game to play, so they create little games in the store. So by giving them a game, by having trophies, by having rewards, okay? This is something that we do literally every single week, we have games. Okay. And we advertise the games to the guys all the time, whether it's a trophy, whether it's an award, whether it's a trip, whether it's a belt, whether it's a Nerf gun, whether it's anything you can think of, we're constantly advertising it to them. It's getting email blasted out. It's going out in the group chat. It's posted in the lunchroom. But this is how we get people grooved in to being in our environment. Because sometimes they won't train for their own goals. They're too discouraged. So they'll train if they want to win the trophy from the next guy. Okay. So those are the rules that we have for games. It says 4 times in a row, games have to be advertised to your team. Okay. But it adds glory to winning in your store. Okay. Let's continue on reasons why they won't train. Okay. So that was no games. Okay. The games have to be shorter term, by the way, and inclusive enough that anyone in the top 40% of the business can achieve some form of success. So you can have 2 different types of games, by the way, write that down. All past the post and first past the post. All past the post is something like anybody who sells over a certain amount of gross. I don't know what it would be for you guys. In our world, if you sold over 20 products in a day, which is a crazy number back in my day, you got a closer's pen. Anybody could win it. Not just whoever got the most of the day. So that's an all past the post goal. Whoever averages, 8 units or more for the month gets the money marathon medal and a $200 shopping spree gift card or 200 cash. Okay. We give out cash on a regular, and yes, it is tax legal. There's a way of doing that. Okay. But we create games for our guys. It makes them compete. It gets them motivated to get into training on their own. Next one's no accountability. That one's basic. Okay. Number 4, reasons they don't train. No accountability. Number 1 was vision. Okay. Number 2 was inspiration. Number 3 is games. Number 4 is accountability. Okay. Just looking to see, is your guy struggling? So every single week, I'll get my assistant to bring it over to me. 1 second. Hey, Noemi, can you bring me my stats binder? Thanks. Sorry, I was in the boardroom earlier. Every single week, I get a stats binder brought to me, and I look at what are my guys doing versus what are they training on. If my sales guy did 6 showings, but he didn't close a single deal, he probably needs to learn some stuff about closing or sales process. Now, what's the number 1 challenge your sales guys are dealing with right now, Rob?
Lack
prospecting,
of
follow-up. Say it again.
Lack of inventory. We have to sell incoming units because we have nothing on the ground because it's tough to get stuff right now.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I would say, so they need to have good relationships built with people then. They need to be able to really get some trust early in the deal. Is that fair to say? So that the customer trusts them to be the guy to find them what they're looking for. Is that fair?
Yeah, and they got to know their product well enough without having to actually walk through it. They got to be able to sell it without actually being in it, literally.
Totally. So, and they're going to need some tools for that. I'm guessing they're going to need visuals, video. They're going to need, they're going to need all their stat sheets. They're going to need to know stuff inside and out. But most importantly, they're going to need a relationship. If the person doesn't trust them or isn't completely sold, you're going to probably try and find it wherever they can get it the soonest. Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So your guys need training on, let's say, follow-up, relationship building. Okay. So if you know that they're having trouble with that, and then you go into your training binder, I get this printed every single week. Okay. It's got my stats for literally every single guy. Okay. Shows me their graph, shows me their stats, shows me the training stats. I like physical paper. That I'm just old school like that. Okay. And then I actually look at what did they train on? Okay. So Alex Carruthers right now, I know for a fact he's having trouble with follow-up. So what did I do? I went and check out what's he actually training on. Because these guys, it's one thing for them to complain to you about what they're having trouble with. But then when you investigate, are they actually trying to solve that problem themselves? It's extra layer of accountability. You sit down with them and say, hey, man, I was just going through the training log. What areas are you having an issue with? Oh, man, I'm having an issue with my closing. Hey, I'm having an issue with keeping the customers in the pipeline and not getting cross-shopped. Okay, great. What did you study on this week? So that's that accountability piece. I look at that every single week. I don't actually just look, did they train? I look and see what they actually trained on. Makes a huge difference. Okay. Number 5, your people don't have an understanding of study. This is a big one. I'll talk a little bit about this. Some of your guys will watch a video, they'll know what to do from it. If your guys are going through the content and they're not getting better, you need to drill with them, period. You need to get them to role play with you. Sorry, my dog's in the office. I got a friggin' 13-week-old puppy.
I saw that in the background. I was wondering, is bring your dog to the office day.
Here, you guys can see him. All right. Yeah, he's a mastiff, and he's put on 20 pounds in 4 weeks. This is this guy. He was 11 weeks. He was 11 pounds when we got him, and he's 30 pounds now.
It's a good looking dog.
He's a good looking pooch. Okay. So your sales guys, management, how many of you guys have watched videos but not necessarily gotten better? Have you ever you've seen that phenomenon with a few guys? Okay. Some of us have that natural ability. I'm like that. I can watch a video and be like, oh, damn, I'm going to do that. And then I do it. I get a result. Other guys watch a video. They can't duplicate it. They actually need to practice it. So whatever your guys are having an issue with, great. What problem are you having? What objection are you getting? Give them that objection, see how they handle it with you. Make them iron it out, get the marbles out of their mouth early. That's super key with training. If they're going through the content and they're not getting better, take them aside for 15 minutes and have them drill it with you. And that ties into number 6, which is not enough practice. Okay, so those are your reasons why your people won't train. And what I wanted to do now is I wanted to find out specifically what you guys are seeing in your people. Like, I know it's inventory is their problem, but when it comes down to your people, is it engagement? Is it how they handle the customer? Is it the amount of activity they're taking? What do you guys think would be the biggest thing, the hardest part of your job on getting your people to do every day? Is it following up? Is it making calls? What's the hardest part of your job, guys?
Go for it, guys. I'd like to hear what you say.
I'm going to start at the top if you want. Cliff, what do you think?
Mine's maybe a little bit different. I'm Medicine Hat down here, and we've taken over Cactus RV. So it's only been a few months trying to change them up and turn them into like Arcan employees. So it's that on top of our Sobel training, as well as doing Grant Cardone. One thing, Kelly's been actually rocking it with the Grant Cardone, so we're not having issues there. It's more trying to just teach them our kind of like the process, our manager checkpoints to the blue sheet. He's doing them, but he's basic right now. It's just getting him used to it. That's really the only dilemma right now. And of course it's inventory, but he is pretty good at following up. He's actually doing cold calls through Kijiji, trying to buy trailers in. So he is doing pretty good there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, man, if the guy's willing to, that's huge. Like, we use willingness here as a measurement stick. Like, I won't fire a guy if he's super willing. Like, as long as he's willing, I can work with that. Right. I did door-to-door sales. I knocked on Don Cherry's door and we aerated his lawn in 2011. And I said, hey man, what's your advice for coaching? I know you were a coach. He's like, help people who want to be helped. Super important. Help people who want to be helped. Okay. Let me ask you real quick on the guy who you wanted to groove in the process with. How many dry run-throughs, how many mock run-throughs have you gone through with him?
Or like our Sobel or for Grant Cardone?
Well, you said there's a sales process that you want him to go through, right? That's specific to Arcan?
We've been doing it literally daily with our walkthrough. So we do what's called a huddle in the morning. And then we'll do certain parts of the process. So we start with the meet and greet, and then our blue sheet, which is getting the information. Then we do a manager checkpoint. So we're just learning. He's learning those steps. He can do it. It's just how can you say it? It's just honing them in, I guess.
Got it. here's what I would do. Create some, so this is just a thought, Rob. Obviously, Rob, you need to, this needs to be your decision. What we do over here is we have a certification process that we wrote for that piece. So kind of like when you get your gun license, right? So I just got my gun license. You basically study, do some drills, but then you have this test coming up and no one wants to fail that test. Once you pass the test, you get certified. What we do when I onboard people in our companies is they go through a full training regimen and then they have to pass a mock sales scenario. It doesn't have to be killer. They don't have to be super suave. They just have to hit the process on the head all the way through it. Right. And we're not allowed to help them through it. They get one practice run through like a day before, then they get to go back and study. We're not trying to make them fail here. And then there's a certification day. You do it on a Saturday or whatever, not a Saturday in your world, maybe a Monday or a Tuesday, whatever day is a little slower. You have certifications for new guys. When they pass the certification, you pay them slightly more. Okay. Or, they're eligible for a new bonus program, or what we do is we just start paying them less earlier. Right. So that's how I do it is I pay them less to begin with. And then once they pass this certification, their commission goes up. And what you guys could do is you could come up with some bonus plans that are only in place for those who are certified Arcan sales executives. And you have 2 or 3 tiers and you make it really clear of what they need to achieve. Maybe they need to get their Cardone beginner certification. They have to pass the Arcan sales process test, where you actually take them through a verbal and they have to check all the boxes. And then once they've gotten through that, then they get a certification. And you literally could go to any print shop and have them design you a little, have your graphic artist design a little certification and they get that. And once they have it, now they're eligible for bonuses and extra money and extra commissions and things like this. And then what happens is now the individual is self-motivated to learn the shit you're trying to teach them. It's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Yeah, but you can shove salt in its mouth a lot and he's going to drink some water. So that's what we do is we create some motivation for the person on their own to learn. And I would suggest doing that from a structuring standpoint of how you do commissions. Our guys go through 4 steps of a staircase to get their final promotion. Cardone beginner, plus a set of drills, plus they have to have an accomplishment. So in order to get promoted to a higher comp plan, they have to have 3 months consecutively of over 60 products. That's our world. You guys aren't selling 60 products. These are a lot smaller of a product. But if they do 3 months of 60 products in a row, they get a bump in pay. Plus they've got their Cardone beginner certification. Then after they've done 2 months of 80 products a month and they've done the Cardone intermediate, they get another promotion. But in their first 4 weeks, they go through tests and they pass a written test. They pass a verbal test. They pass a bunch of drills. When they pass them, we certify them. When they certify them, they go from $40 a product to $50 a product. So if you guys want to think with that stuff, that's this wheel here, right? It's part of a game that we've created for them. That's a game for them. Now they're becoming, certified. And guess what? You can tell them, hey, you can take that certification with you to the next place in 3 or 4 years. You can let them know, hey, you went through our full university here. That's 2021, guys. Businesses are going to become the academies. Our business schools are not preparing people. They're not teaching what you guys are teaching. Just know the value you're offering these kids. You're teaching them literally how to make money. No university professor is going to teach them that. I'm sorry if any of you guys are pro conventional schooling, but I'll be real. It's nothing in what, in preparing the individual compared to what you guys do for them. Okay. So hopefully that helps you, Cliff. David, did you have any, what was the hardest part of your job or something you want your people to be better at?
I feel like getting them to call old customers. I know we do it intermittently, but it's something that we talk about a lot. And I feel like that's a good opportunity still for all of us.
Yeah, 100%. Getting back in communication with previously sold or
just continuously staying in touch.
Continuously staying in touch.
Solving problems for them, getting referrals.
Have we run a follow-up webinar for you guys?
No.
Not yet? Rob, will you be open to that? It's a whole webinar on exactly how to follow up. And we pulled it all from the program, but we're basically going to condense it for you. We're going to take 6 months of follow-up training and condense it into an hour and a half if you'd like that. But here's what I can tell you. You want to learn something about VAFU. Okay. So you want to teach your people, and that's not the message of this training, but David, write this down. VAFU, value added follow-up. Your salespeople, if you need to give them a reason to call someone, the only reason they're not calling is not because they're lazy. It's because they don't know what the hell they're doing. They're afraid to harass the customer. That's really what it is. They're afraid to make it awkward. So what we do is we compile 4 types of follow-up. I'll fire them out real quick, and then I'm going to run a webinar for you. It'll either be me or one of my top guys, but we'll run a webinar to solve that problem. 4 types of follow-up: entertainment, education, service, and information. Okay, entertainment, a way that your guys could follow up with old customers, put together reviews, comparisons, top, what you could call them, like editorials on best places to camp in Canada. The 6 places you need to see if you live on the West Coast, like things that don't relate to your product directly, but give your salespeople an excuse to make a contact point, right? So I got dirt bikes. I'm a motocross guy. I just bought a TX 300 2-stroke dirt bike, right? If my sales guy wants to follow up with me now, because maybe he wants me to buy another helmet. I was just talking about how I need another helmet. I don't like mine. Okay. If he wants to follow up with me because he knows I'm buying a bike for my wife, but he doesn't really want to follow up and be like, hey, like, how's your wife doing? He could follow up with me and say, hey, here are the 6 best tracks in British Columbia for you to ride this summer. Hey, here are the top 4 places to camp that have motocross sites nearby. And he might send one article in an email. He might text me another article. He might even send me a physical package in an envelope. Okay. But if you guys can come up with some ideas of easy ways to follow up with your people that don't relate directly to your product, that aren't salesy, but keep your people in contact, you'll notice your salespeople will follow up way easier. 6 things you can do to winterize your RV. 5 things you should check before every road trip. 8 ways to get better fuel economy while towing your rig. 3 tips for towing with when you're towing without a diesel. Like, you guys start compiling all of this value add content, and your salespeople can follow up with it and they can stay in front of the customer. Okay, that's just entertainment, by the way, or education. Then there's a whole entertainment follow-up piece. And then there's the service piece where you're calling to offer them a service, right? Like, hey, didn't know if you wanted this, but we're actually doing appraisals of RVs right now. Not sure how much you're planning to use your RV this season, but we're doing appraisals, want to offer you a free appraisal. That's a service follow-up. An information follow-up would be like, hey, wanted to show you the current models that have just come out. Right now there's an inventory shortage, but I could get you into this RV without skyrocketing your payments. I'm guessing people make payments, right? I buy that kind of stuff outright in cash, but I'm guessing your average individual makes payments, correct? And they can trade, right? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be ignorant. I know a lot about the automotive 100%. Industry, but I didn't delve too much into RV. Okay. So what you could do is you could send the guy an information package. That's information follow-up. Hey, here's a new product that's coming out. There's inventory shortage. I can lock you in because you're a part of our customer loyalty program. Thought I would make that offer. But if that's all you guys are doing, they're not going to want to follow up. They have to have other reasons to follow up. So come up with some cool group things as a story, graphic, design it all, make it look all pretty, and give your guys some alternative reasons. But we should run a training for you guys on that. Neil.
Yeah, mine's
hardest part of your job.
Yeah, sure. I think I'm just getting to know a new position with the company up in Edmonton as a sales manager, and the team I have up there are veterans. So one thing that I've already noticed in my first few weeks up there is getting a little lazy on the process. So just like blue sheets and manager checkpoints, kind of like what Cliff's training down in Medicine Hat. So just to, I think, get them back to the basics and the foundation of the Arcan process.
Okay, cool. Can I ask you real quick, who was the manager before you and how was he doing?
David Friedenberg was, and he did great with them. And now David and I have spent a total of about 6 hours together in the last 3 weeks, going through some ins and outs. And I've known these guys for years. It's not like I had to introduce myself. So there's a comfort level there. But this is my first time leading a couple of them.
Okay, so we have something called a power formula here. It's called power change. It's when someone else, so when David left that group, it was doing well, correct? And then you got handed the keys, right?
Yeah, and because of the whole timing of it, they managed themselves for a small period of time as well. So it wasn't like a smooth, like next day transition.
Okay, great. So here's what I would say. And it's going to sound super common sense, but trust me, common sense is not so common. So I thought I would just share it anyway. Do a deep dive with David. Find out if David ran a successful operation. See, I've taken over operations before. When I take over a broken operation, I do a full non-existence formula, which is I go and I meet with everybody, find out what they need, find out what they're struggling with, find out what they'd like more of, find out what they're missing. And then I look to produce that. When I take over an organization that's already doing well, all I do is I interview the hell out of the guy that did it before me, find out what did he enforce, what didn't he enforce, and make sure I go back to enforcing what he enforced. So yeah, they probably got a little slack, right? You're the substitute teacher. You're the new guy. You're the guy that they feel like they might be able to get away with a little bit. I know you're not new, but you're new to that particular, right? You're new to that particular post. So what you need to do is just revisit, like take David out, buy him a filet mignon. You're welcome, David. Okay. Spend some, take him out, buy him some Merlot or Pinot Noir, whatever he's into. You get the bill and you do a deep dive. Hey, what processes did you religiously enforce? Great. What were you a little more lenient on? Don't worry. You're not going to keep it like that forever. You're going to look to improve. But in the beginning, you don't mess with that because they're already adapted to following and getting enforced on what David was enforcing. Then you put those points in first. And then you make minor tweaks and adjustments. That's all I would say, and groove it in. And they'll respect the hell out of you for that. Most people, when there's a new leader, the new leader comes in. I know you're not going to do this, and I'm sure you haven't, and tries to like assert dominance and like changes things. And it's like, they've been living like, that's like their home, right? They've been living like that for years. Like just think about someone comes into your neighborhood. You've been living there for 10 years and you get these punks that move next door and it starts disrupting your Saturday afternoon that you always valued. It's the same thing, right?
Strokes up and down the road. right.
Yep. I actually did that recently. So man, now that you think of it, I actually did. You don't live in Belcara, do you? Because that's funny because I actually did that recently.
I like everything you're saying there, Corey. Actually, I wrote something down and highlighted it earlier. I want to do a fact find with them and see what makes them tick, what motivates them as well. So
totally.
Yeah, David and I are going out for some craft beers. Obviously, this has to happen.
Good. Drink enough so you get him loose and he shares it all, and don't drink so much that you don't remember a thing he said. Okay. Who am I at? Let me see here. We did David, we did Neil, we did, did Bill make it here? I can't see all of you guys.
No.
Still here or no?
Go for Brock.
Brock, what's up?
Hey, mine would be similar to what David mentioned there as well. So I'm not going to have you run through that again. But another part of mine would be just the actual follow-up in our CRM system instead of kind of doing, I've got kind of some of the older guys experience 20 years, 25 years, blah, blah, blah. And then I've got some not so old, roughly around my age, 40-ish, that are a little bit different. So the older ones are less receptive to technology and entering all their communication with customers in CRM. So that's one of the biggest things that I have a challenge with.
Yeah. So in that situation, first of all, I always just go back. One, the fact find is monster, right? First of all, the more you understand about your people, the easier it is to get them to do what you want them to do, period. So definitely do that approach. But when it comes to getting old people to use technology, that's funny. All I can say is I'm the same way. Like you guys see, I have a binder. Like I got binders everywhere, but I do use my CRM. All I would say is this: have a session, have a whatever it is, Monday, Tuesday, pick a day, an afternoon, an evening when you guys are a little slower. Again, obviously clear this with management, make sure it's cool with it, where you're going to do like 2 or 3 hours. You guys are going to provide food. You guys are going to provide something. Like, this is how I get my guys to do shit I don't want them to do. I post the set. I have a session. We'll provide the food. I got super smart Asian Kevin. Don't worry. He likes that name. That's his name. He's the technological expert in our office. Okay. And we'll come in and we'll get them all to open their computers and we'll give them a drill. We'll be like, all right, we're going to show you guys how to do this. I know some people have been having some challenges, and we're going to show them how to enter a new entry, how to put a new lead into the CRM, how to mark a follow-up attempt done, right? And then we're going to literally run them through it. A lot of people, the reason they don't do things, and we can make up a million reasons, is because they don't know how to do it. There's something they haven't confronted, and they might know how to do it if they, if they thought about it a long time, if they stared at the screen long enough, they could kind of remember. But you want to write this down. Remembering is not knowing. You don't remember your name, unless you've had way too much wine. But like, you, generally speaking, you know your name. It's not something you remember, right? When you get really good in selling, your closes aren't something you remember. There's something you know, right? You don't remember what 2 + 2 is. You know what 2 + 2 is. People will do, you guys heard the expression, people do what they know, right? What gets grained into them. So a lot of this ideology of like, oh, he's old dogs, new tricks. Well, humans aren't dogs, right? And the more important thing is people will do what they know. So if you host a session with them, and Rob, you can do this for anything. I do this mostly for technology. So teaching guys how to use calendar invites, CRM entries, follow-up technique, whatever they're entering into a computer, we'll do a drilling session with it. We'll provide dinner, and we'll make them go through basic actions. All right, everybody's going to go through this. Let me know when you've done it. Great, we're going to do it again. Great, we're going to do it again. Great, we're going to do it again. Okay, next. Okay, now we're going to add a new lead in the CRM. Okay, you're going to show them how to do it, then you're going to get them to do it. Please raise your hand, and then they're all going to be sitting in one area, and you're going to walk around them and make sure they all know how to do it. And that's how I do it. And then they know it. And then watch what happens. You don't have to like lean on it near as hard. Again, it sounds so basic. I don't mean to be patronizing, but I promise you this is stuff that leaders don't want to do, but it makes all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. We don't get better at push-ups by, watching it on the internet. Eventually we have to do the push-up. So that's what I would say. Hopefully that helps you. Okay. Bribe them with some pizza and run them through some training, and then provide beers at the end. But again, not enough that they forget what you just taught them. Okay. Did I forget Doug? I think I did.
Doug's with Cliff there. Yep.
I've been in and out of the office this afternoon.
Got it. Okay, Doug, what do you think, hardest part of your job? What do you think your guys need the most right now? What do they struggle with? What are you seeing for room for improvement?
I have the same guy that Cliff was talking to you about, because we just have one person here. So, I mean, what Cliff said about Kelly is, I didn't hear it all.
Okay.
But I know he had trouble adapting Arcan's sales process, but from when he started to now, he's way better. It's just getting it to be automatic. Like you said, not automatic, knowing it. It's just knowing it, not trying to remember it. That's the key.
Yeah, I'll give you one thing. Train the why behind the how. Super key. Train the why behind the how. So a lot of the times these guys will like focus on like teaching them how to do something. But if we just spent literally next time you go to train them on it, spend 80% of the time explaining why. And if you don't know why, call Rob and get him to explain it why. Because if he came up with the process, he knows it. He knows why. So explain the why and then the how. And then what happens is the guy sometimes they'll freak you out and they'll come out with even a slightly better way to do it. They'll do it your way, but they'll throw like a twist on it, a good twist, because you explained why they're doing it. And then you're like, well, if that's the why, then how about this technique? So explain the why and then the how generally gets compliance in really, really well. People don't like listening to authority, right? They like listening to influence. They like listening to, inspiration. So anyway, hopefully that was good, guys. Last points, key actions of a sales leader. Okay. Be an outstanding salesperson. Just commit yourself. If you guys focus on that sales process on repeat, on the objections webinar on repeat, you will sell your people. A great salesperson can always make a great sales leader, but a bad salesperson will always make a bad sales leader. Okay. Number 2, know your people's goals. We talked about that. Everybody here from here on forward, remember, you are selling your people. Know what their goals are. Do a fact find on your people. Okay. Number 3, your people don't always believe in themselves. They wake up, they press snooze too many times. I mean, we all do it. They don't feel confident. They had a customer say something to them yesterday they didn't know how to handle. You need to communicate belief in your people, even when they don't believe in themselves. Always, always, always believe in your people. If you're complaining about your people, guaranteed they're going to complain about the customers. And hold each other accountable to that. Do not let each other, Doug, don't let Cliff complain about your reps. David, don't let Neil complain. Never complain about your salespeople. If you want your salespeople to start complaining about customers and not taking responsibility for the customer, then start complaining about your staff. Now, that's not, if you need to fire someone, don't get me wrong. But on a regular basis, what you want to focus on is taking responsibility for your people. And then the last one's discipline. Your people, you want to write this down. If they had your discipline, they'd have your position. If they had your insight and your discipline, they'd have your position. Okay, do not say that to them, though, unless you want to piss them off. But you need to know that. So when you're saying, hey, man, did you do your training? And the guy comes up with some excuse, know that you're going to get an excuse. Acknowledge the excuse. Dude, totally got that. Is there somewhere where you could have found 15 minutes to train yesterday? Did you have the potential to train yesterday? Did you have the potential? Yeah, I did. Okay, good. Great. So let's see double the amount today. What, double? Yeah, let's see double the amount today. You told me you want to hit 10 grand this month, right? Yeah, I did. I did tell you that. Okay, good. You gave me permission to hold you accountable? Yeah, I did. Okay, good. Double the amount today. And I want to see twice the amount of phone calls today. See, it all starts tying together. You know his goals, you can hold him accountable, and you can enforce discipline. Okay. Again, we have a ton of material on this. This is a 169 deck slide. Or a 169 slide deck. And I mean, there's material that we didn't even tap into. Okay. But all I can tell you guys is simple. Right now, when you go out there, a couple of things. One, who do you listen to? Your salespeople need to want to listen to you. It's not enough for you guys to know what to do. It's another thing you guys need to sell on your people on what to do. And then the last thing is, remember, you're always on stage. We go through what not to do if you want to do that, but I think we can wrap up now. Okay, there is a list of things of what not to do, but I think we covered them indirectly. You are being watched. Your people will mimic 100% of your bad behavior. So show them no bad behavior.